Prepare to experience the strongest radio allowable by law. Secrets will be revealed. Myths dispelled. From the studio gym where excuses never apply, it's Superhuman Radio with your host, Carl Lenore.
Hey, welcome back to another episode of Superhuman Radio. We have a great show planned for you today. During the first half hour, we're going to be joined by Dr. Jeff Golini to talk about another installment of Science for Humans, the perfect human diet. Then, at the bottom of the hour, we're going to be joined by Michelle Norris, to talk about the upcoming Paleo FX 2015 event in Texas. And then we're going to be joined by Keith Norris, who recently sat in on a NASA roundtable event where they was seeking his advice on how to help astronauts be more physically prepared by adapting some of the things that we do here within the physical culture community. Just have to mention that Superhuman Radio is being brought to you by a special grant from All American Pharmaceutical and their product line, All American EFX Sports. You can learn more about them by going to superhumanradio.com and clicking one of the many banner ads there.
This is Science for Humans with Dr. Jeff Golini.
Welcome back to the show, Dr. Golini. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How about you, Carl?
Fantastic. You know, I think this is something that is relatively new phenomenon of our culture, but people are always seeking what could be the perfect diet. And as a result of that, there have been many, many fad diets to come around over the years, haven't there?
You know what? Every week there seems to be a new diet, and that's kind of what we're going to address here this morning.
So why don't we go through some of the top line different diets that we see out there that are very popular right now?
Yeah, here's kind of my top list. And the first one was Atkins. You know, let's eat lots of meat, lots of fat, no carbohydrates. The second one that's kind of funny is the South Beach. If you take out the fat, add some veggies, now you got the South Beach. Named after a place where all the skinny people go, right?
Right, exactly.
And then, you know, I think one of the most popular ones on the TVs is the Weight Watchers diet. You know, if you are as wealthy as those celebrities, then you can afford to buy all their food. Then one of the other ones that I really like, I don't know if you've heard of the hot dog diet.
No, but it sounds delicious.
Oh, for 7 days, all you eat is hot dogs. You eat 20 hot dogs a day, guaranteed to lose 25 to 35 pounds in that first week.
But that's got to be unhealthy. There's so much junk in hot dogs.
You know it is, and that's kind of why we're kind of spoofing on these fad diets. Is all of them claim, you know, outrageous weight loss, and you know, I guess you do lose weight, kind of like the Hollywood diet. You know, you buy this expensive bottle of juice that all the celebrities do, and all you do is drink that juice. And then this one was the one that claims to be the best, the cabbage soup diet. Have you heard of that one?
Actually, I have, but not from a dietary lose weight standpoint, but from a cleansing standpoint because of the prebiotics and the benefits of eating cabbage.
No, this is actually the cabbage soup diet. They've evolved from the healthiness of, you know, cleansing to, hey, you now can eat, if you eat as much diet soup or cabbage soup as you want, for 7 to 14 days, you will lose 10 to 15 pounds.
And you'll probably lose 10 to 15 friends as well because you will be crop dusting everywhere you go.
and then this would really crack me up. It's called the amputation diet. So if all these other diets fail and you really need to lose weight, you can get something amputated and guaranteed to lose weight.
Okay, now I want to stay with that for a second because I know you're being facetious, but the reality is that people take way too seriously their representation of gravitational forces on the scale without looking at what makes up their body. In fact, we just did a show this week about osteopenic obesity, which is basically what the clinicians are now calling skinny fat. So you fit into a size 3 dress or you're a size 36 waist, but you have diminishing amounts of lean body mass and accumulating fat mass that make up that body signature. And you are going headlong into metabolic diseases that have only been associated with obese people. So this fascination with losing weight in a vacuum, I don't care how much weight I lose. And what I say on the show, Dr. Jeff, often is, look, weight loss in and of itself is not necessarily a good thing. Ask someone with a terminal illness that's losing a pound a day if they're excited. Of course not.
Right.
If you're losing body fat and maintaining or building muscle, you're on the right track. But if you're losing both in hopes that you can be fit into that 32 waist pants for your 20th high school reunion, you're making a huge mistake that's going to haunt you for a long time to come.
Absolutely. I mean, I tell people, throw away the scale. The scale is not a measurement for you. And again, just mentioning these type of diets with all of their claims to fame, they're all in short amounts of time. And sure, you can go on any diet and probably lose weight in a short amount of time. But what happens when you go off that diet? You gain it all back.
Well, I mean, especially if you've lost a significant, if 30 to 50% of your weight loss is lean body mass, you have effectively just lowered your basal metabolic rate, which means that if you even went back to eating the calories you were eating before, you're guaranteed to put on weight.
And this is the roller coaster ride that, we get on. We go on a diet, we lose weight, we go off the diet, we gain it back. So, part of the perfect human diet is moving beyond that word diet, and talking about making lifestyle changes, being healthy. I mean, that's what this show is all about. Lifestyle changes, being healthy, changing how you think and what you eat. It's quite easy, to lose body fat. And like you said, it isn't all about just losing weight. That's why I tell people to get rid of the scale. That's not a good measurement of what's healthy for you.
What about this notion that it all comes down to calories in, calories out? Where do you stand on that?
That's basically what I think it is calories in, calories out. I mean, obviously, different ages, different activity levels, but at the end of the day, it's 3,500 calories to gain or lose 1 pound, essentially, if you want to put it on a mathematical scale. So, the best way is to go out and expend calories and enjoy life. We don't need to be pressured to be on a diet. Being on a diet, it really isn't healthy. And of course, if you go on, some of these fad diets, and, some people may argue that some of these aren't fad diets, that they're science-based. Well, that's great, but I don't know anyone that can stay on these forever. They lose their weight and then they want to go back enjoying life. There's a lot of good foods out there. Kind of two approaches. One is just moderations. Don't overeat things that are not healthy. If you like a donut, and you want to be on the moderation lifestyle change, then have a donut, but only have it 1 day a week. Don't have 5 every day a week,
So, but there is some role that the actual macronutrients play in this energy in, energy out type of an equation, right? I mean, you can't say, look, we're going to eat 2,000 calories of sugar and expect that to provide optimal fat loss, as opposed to, let's say, eating a sensible amount of protein, carbohydrates, and fats.
Correct, and that's really what we're talking about, changing our lifestyle. Most people, and again, we're not talking about athletes who are more experienced or bodybuilders who understand, what types of foods. We're talking about the normal average person. Their fat and carbohydrate counts are probably the majority of their diet. Most people don't get in enough protein. So we got to look at, what is a good ratio? I think the fat should be in that 10 to 20%. A lower fat diet is proven to be more healthy. Obesity is the number one killer, and leads to the majority of all the different types of diseases. And all of that comes from food. You eat a lot of fat, Your body can only process so much. It's going to be stored as fat. I think the protein should be in that 25 to 35% range, and we're talking about nice lean proteins. You know, protein isn't McDonald's, but a fish fillet. You know, that's fried, that has added more fat than fish. And then your carbohydrates need to be in the 45 to 55% range. So that's kind of the balance, you know, which is a healthy lifestyle change. It isn't eliminating everything. It isn't going to excess with things. It's just kind of getting your diet into a balance. People always say that, you know, carbohydrates are just terrible for you because they've heard so much of the Atkins and some of the paleo diets and things. And again, unless you have some medical reason where you need to control your carbohydrates, I always tell people that if you look at a log in a fireplace that represents fat, can you take a match and burn that log? No, you've got to have energy. You've got to put kindling underneath that log. Well, that's what carbohydrates are. You know, within moderations, that's your kindling to generate heat that's going to metabolize body fat for energy.
But the carbohydrate choices, this is where things get kind of gummed up and wonky, because the carbohydrate choices are so vast. And when we start to look at the influence of insulin on the creation of new body fat, carbohydrates probably more so than proteins or fats. I think a lot more thought has to be taken about carbohydrate sources. What do you think about that?
Absolutely. I mean, you know, when we're talking about carbohydrates, you know, again, like you said, there are so many things that are a carbohydrate now. You know, we're looking at more quality carbohydrates, complex carbohydrates. You know, potatoes, pasta, rice. And again, I like bread. You know, some people don't like bread. If you're gluten-free, obviously you don't want to go that route. But, you know, those are all good quality sources. It's what you now do with that. If you take the bread and you now add, you know, 40 grams or 50 grams of fat, butter on that bread, now that bread becomes dangerous. If all you eat is bread or carbohydrates, again, that's where it becomes dangerous. But again, it's the quality of the carbohydrate that you're eating.
Let's do this, Dr. Jeff. Let's take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, let's talk about we cannot talk about diet without talking about activity, as you've already started to point out. So let's talk about ways of assessing the balance between energy in and energy out. We're talking right now with Dr. Jeff Golini. We're talking about the perfect human diet. You're listening to Science for Humans here on the Superhuman Radio Network. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Freakish muscle gains, Freakmaker Build from AAEFX. It's a scientifically engineered post-workout formula that combines protein, whey isolate, whey concentrate, milk isolate, casein, and egg, quality protein sources with carbolin, free alkaline, and medium-chain triglycerides. A 2-to-1 carb-to-protein ratio to optimize post-training recovery and repair. Freakmaker Build delivers 58 grams of fast-absorbing carbolin to replenish glycogen stores and 1.5 grams of pre-alkaline pH-buffered creatine monohydrate. Get Freakmaker Build today. Go to superhumanradio.com and click the AAEFX banner ad.
This is the Superhuman Channel, where we use oxygen for the power of good.
Go 50. Go 50. Welcome back to Science for Humans with Dr. Jeff Golini. We're talking about the perfect human diet right now, and really that's kind of a tongue-in-cheek statement because everybody's in search of the perfect diet that will help them lose weight, but really nothing will work without increasing activity or energy expenditure, right?
That's the best way to do it. I mean, absolutely. You know, unless someone has invented that diet pill that you can just sit on the couch and lose 25 pounds and do nothing. We need to be active. You know, we're more educated now. People have more access to, you know, if they go to the gym with all the different types of cardio or even going out and going for a walk. It doesn't take a whole lot to get that metabolic rate up.
And this is where these new activity monitors really do come in handy. I have to tell you, whether it's a simple pedometer or something more sophisticated like a Fitbit that checks heart rate, sleep quality, and everything, these devices are fantastic because they do two things. They make you accountable for moving more, and they actually give you a snapshot of where you are on any given day. And the goal of 10,000 steps a day is really a noble goal for people to hit. If you're really doing that kind of activity every single day, you will see changes in your body.
Absolutely. Even if you don't change your diet and you exercise, you'll be expending more calories. So, you can, be more sophisticated and more organized with those type of meters, or again, as simple as, 3 times a week, try to get a 20 to 30 minute walk in. Remember that, anything less than, 20 minutes really doesn't do a whole lot because you're essentially just burning, glycogen and fuel that's already been stored. So we like to get at least 20. And then I also wanted to say, because I saw this at the gym the other night, is this gal got on the treadmill for 20 minutes and she looked down and out loud she said, "Oh, darn, I only burned 30 calories. This wasn't even worth it."
Yeah.
And I think they should get rid of those calorie counters on those machines because it's not what happens during that time. It's the fact that she has sped her metabolism up, and what's going to happen over the next hour is what's more important.
Well, and they're not even accurate. So those calorie counters, most people don't take the time to enter their age, their weight, and really, even then, they're just a kind of a shot in the dark approach. Those calorie counters are far from accurate. They don't assess a lot of things that, for instance, basal metabolic rate. How much muscle do you carry? You're going to burn more calories if you're walking and you're carrying, an extra 10 pounds of muscle than the average person your size versus that person who's not.
Well, absolutely. And, an interesting fact is, you burn the same amount of calories running a mile as you do walking.
I know. Somebody once said that to me. They said, "Do you think you burn?" Actually, it was Charles Staley. And that's one of those questions like, what's heavier, a ton of feathers or a ton of gold, right? A ton.
Exactly.
No, they're both worth a ton, you dummy.
Yeah, so sometimes when we're talking about activity, people think, "Oh, geez, I have bad knees. I can't go run." I always tell people that you should be able to carry on a conversation like we are and be walking, be on a treadmill. It isn't about, sweating and losing weight, during that period of time. It's about increasing your metabolism. If you can and you're more athletic and you want to run or jog and, sweat, then yeah, you'll burn more calories and you'll get your metabolic rate up higher in a shorter amount of time. But for most of us, especially as we get older, it's just too hard to do that.
Now, I didn't forewarn you about this next question, but I have to ask it because of this discussion about carbohydrate sources for a second. So, I've been experimenting with Carbolin pre-workout, and the other day I experimented with it post-workout. And as a result, I checked my fasting blood sugar levels on any given morning are always between 72 and 76 milligrams a deciliter. And I took my fasting blood sugar, and then I took my first meal, which was eggs and oatmeal, and my blood sugar an hour later after the meal, my blood sugar did not move. It was still 76 as it was during fasting. And this is my goal, quite frankly, anyway. But so then I mixed some Quest peanut butter protein powder with the berry-flavored Carbolin. By the way, it tastes like a drinkable peanut butter and jelly sandwich. It's unflippin' believable. So I had 50 grams of Carbolin and about 46 grams of protein powder and a scoop of creatine, and I drank that post-workout, came to the studio. Exactly 1 hour after drinking it, I checked my blood sugar. I expected my blood sugar to be very high. I was surprised. It had only gone up about 2 milligrams. It was like 78 instead of 76. So now I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute. How can that be? This is a fast-acting carbohydrate source. It gets into the bloodstream so quickly. How could it be that my blood sugar isn't 120, 140, 160, or even higher? How is that? Why did Carbolin not raise my blood sugar like that?
Well, and that's the interesting and cool thing about Carbolin is, it's completely sugar-free, yet it's absorbed as quickly as a sugar. So if you would have measured that 15 minutes after you took it, you would have seen a little bit bigger spike. But Carbolin also has a tail, so it's going to last for about an hour to 2 hours, where, sugar tapers off and is gone, at 45 minutes or 30 minutes. So you were kind of getting to the end of what Carbolin does, is to keep that, to deliver that glucose over a period of time. So not only are you replenishing, you feel better, you recuperate. So that's why at an hour, it was where it was.
That's interesting. So would a diabetic person benefit from Carbolin?
They would. We are in clinical trials right now on pre-diabetics to find out, how does it affect someone who, has to monitor their sugar. We're hoping that because it's so controlled and you don't get those big spikes like you do from sugar and then it drops off, that it's going to be very beneficial. But again, we'll have to see what the research shows on that.
Very interesting. So in summary, in search of the perfect human diet, there really is no perfect human diet. You have to eat sensible, and you have to make sure that you're not taking in more energy than you're expending on a given day.
And that was the whole point, I think, of what we were trying to get across is there is no perfect human diet. What works for me may not work for you, but adjust your lifestyle. Exercise, eat healthier, as we say, leaner meats, quality carbohydrates, good fats, plenty of salads and vegetables, and as I said, exercise. The perfect human diet.
Dr. Golini, thanks for being on the show today.
Thank you much.
Talk to you soon.
Okay.